So the National Theater, which is where Streetcar Named Desire was uploaded, it's one of the three prominent publicly funded theater theater organizations or theater institutions in the UK. The other two were the Royal Shakespeare Company and the Royal Opera House. So actually, the National Theatre is originally named as the Royal National Theatre. And if you will find a local equivalent to that one, it's sort of like the CCP. It's sort of like the Cultural Center of the Philippines of the UK. So the Young Vic is actually one of the smaller theater institutions. So dalawa yun eh. There's the Old Vic and the Young Vic. So the Old Vic is more older institution, theater institution that was established, and then the Young Vic is a little bit more contemporary na pumasok. No? So yan. And so right now the National Theater has started a campaign since the beginning of this pandemic called the National Theatre at Home. So every week, every Thursday, according to UK time, every Thursday they upload a new new production from their archives for your viewing pleasure on YouTube. No? And then at the same time, they solicit donations. So if you get to watch one of these really amazing shows, and if you are able, please donate to the National Theatre or any other theaters that have uploaded their videos online to support this wonderful industry.
Okay, so thank you, Jenny. And guys, reminding you guys, just visit National Theatre website and Young Vic's website if you want to donate. If you enjoy the show, please donate. Please help the artists during this new pandemic. Let me give you now to Jack, just beside me, to tell you more about our first show to discuss or review, Streetcar Named Desire.
Okay, thank you, Joel. So let me first tell you just a brief background of who Tennessee Williams is. So he was born in 1911 as Thomas Lanier Williams III. So Tennessee Williams is apparently his name. Yeah, so of course he was an American playwright, and his works are contemporary. Even during those times, like what Diana said, in World War II, and he's basically considered an important person in the American drama. And so the one that we watched was A Streetcar Named Desire, and according to the write-ups, it was the most played or showed script. Yeah. And it opened in Broadway in December 3, 1947. So that's like 70 years already. Am I right? So 1947. And tells or dramatizes.
Actually, 8 years na yan. Hindi, almost.
47. Basta, it's more than 50 years. I think that's more important. And again, it started, or it was during the time of a World War. And it dramatized the life of Blanche Dubois from being I think aristocrat or a Southern belle, and she was seeking refuge in her sister's place in New Orleans. And it talks about mental health. That's for one that I've noticed. And again, it was from ang galing, no? From the time na World War, or it was basically old. It's already talking about mental health. And then at this time, it seems that it's actually taboo to talk about mental health. Parang it was first brought up back then somehow it was lost during that time. Then right now, we are talking about it.
Okay, so I'm now opening the floor for the discussion of the show. And I'm really excited about this. Well, first of all, I'd like to recognize and acknowledge the lead actors for this stage play. Gillian Anderson, Vanessa Kirby, and my kumparing, my close friend, Mr. Ben Foster.
Yes, exactly.
Yan.
Yeah. So who wants to start? Yeah, the floor is open now.
Well,
Yeah,
who wants to start?
I guess siguro I can start it, but before we start discussing this review, uh, there's gonna be a lot of comparisons I think between this one as well as the 1951 film adaptation uh, directed by Ila Kazan,
Yes.
who stars the iconic
Marlon
Brando.
Brando and Vivian Lee
Yeah,
as
so
Blanche.
there might be some comparisons between that one and this one, and there's a lot of different takes on the characters.
Mhm.
So siguro we'll let's start talking about acting.
I guess like in the acting arena, I really appreciated the original take of Gillian Anderson, Ben Foster,
Yeah.
and even Vanessa Kirby into the roles, because dealing with the characters that was first instigated by Marlon Brando,
Mm.
for instance, is quite intimidating for an actor to take over, because Marlon Brando's Stanley is very, very iconic. And then here comes Joel's compare, Ben Foster, uh, coming in, and he dares to bring in his original thought into it. And the same with Gillian Anderson. She has a very different take on Blanche, because if you watch the film version, which is Vivian Lee approaches it as very coy and very passive aggressive, whereas Gillian Anderson's version, it's quite aggressive, and her sensuality is very blatant for viewers to see. So I really appreciated that different interpretation to the character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, what Jenny mentioned, I agree. In terms of like the difference between the two versions, and I've tossed and turned before this review, and I was thinking if who had the better performance, Marlon Brando or comparing Ben, or Vivian Leigh.
We're obviously fans.
Yeah, and I've been a fan of his for a while. So Gillian Anderson or Vivian Leigh, or Kirby, and I forgot her counterpart. But
Mm-mm.
I think it's unfair kasi to compare, because I think if you put Marlon Brando's performance beside Gillian Anderson's performance, it wouldn't work because there's two,
Different
and
chemistry.
it's like two strong personality. I think this type of play, or this type of characters, for it to work, one has to give in. One has to be like responsive. One has to be someone who takes over the show. In this case, in the play that we're reviewing, it was Gillian Anderson who was the kind of alpha male or alpha female, whereas Ben Foster was very giving in terms of his portrayal as Stan. Even though he
Yeah.
was menacing, even though he was still very macho, he was very parang supportive of how strong Gillian Anderson is.
Yeah.
And so far that's it. I
Yeah.
mean,
We're interested to
yeah,
learn
yeah, from you guys
from the other
first.
company members. What do you think about the acting?
Wow. Sige, ako na. Because you've mentioned Ben Foster, my close friend right now, no? Ever since I watched the show, we've been talking on the phone, chat. No, just kidding. No, I really like the treatment, of Ben Foster, because as Blonsky mentioned, it was originally played in film by Marlon Brando, and of course, we know my lolo Marlon Brando, no, my grandfather is Marlon Brando. So I really have to watch it because I haven't watched the how it portrayed it. So that is how amazing Ben Foster is, because he's very brave, and he didn't even try to copy the performance of Marlon Brando. It's totally different performance. There are similarities, but you know that he's doing it on his own. Parang he owned the character, and the treatment was totally different, but very effective. Very effective performance. If we're talking about the Spent Foster right now. Diana, you have any thoughts?
I was very nabilib ako, I ano bang English nun? Nabilib ako kay Gillian Anderson. Kasi yung kanyang yung lakas niya, her strength, like from the beginning to the end of the theater, of the play, she was able to sustain the energy of her character. And she never, hindi siya nagpakita ng pagod. She never showed that she was tired or that the play was already, it's 2 hours and almost 3 hours long. But she never showed any kind of fatigue. And I thought that, Jenny always says that performers are like athletes. So yun yung naisip ko when I saw her performance. Na wow, she had to really have like a lot of mindset and energy and follow through just to perform this play. And it's all acting. All of it is like one set. Maybe later we can talk about the set design, but it's all in just one set. And yet, she had to bring the energy for the show to run, for the whole play to, from finish to end. So yeah.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
go Jeff.
Okay, so Nelly, I've been hearing Marlon Brando as a household name, and of course Tennessee Williams and a Streetcar name desire. However, I'm not given the chance, or I think I veer away of watching it or reading the play because I know it's just there. Okay, so and thankfully, again, this production na napanood ko siya. So when I first heard that we would be watching a Streetcar named Desire, I was actually looking for a Marlon Brando. So when I watched that, it's a moving set. So I was thinking that where's Marlon Brando? So it was and Joel said it was of course different one. We're watching the newer ones. Okay, so yeah, so I was thinking about that because again, Marlon Brando is very iconic in the Hollywood scene. Because of course some controversies, and he was actually the pioneer of the Stanislavski method of acting. So I think it was art of experiencing, right? The Stanislavski.
Actually, it's Strasbourg, not Stanislavski.
Yeah, for Brando.
Yeah.
Strasbourg.
Strasbourg.
Yeah,
Strasbourg
it's easier to say, Jack. So okay lang.
But it's a student of Stanislavski, right? Lahat naman sila halos student ng Stanislavski.
Si Strasbourg, so maraming students si Stanislavski.
Yeah.
Pero yung mga students, they had different interpretation of the Stanislavski method.
Yeah.
So Strasbourg had a different interpretation of the method as opposed to Adler, etc. So yung naging estudyante ni Strasbourg was Marlon Brando.
And si Strasbourg is like Sophie for film acting. Yeah, he I think he also mentored Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe. I think Dustin Hoffman then.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so that's what I read about Marlon Brando, because again, if you're gonna talk about Marlon Brando, I think about A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this play that we watched. So I was like, sabi nga ni Diana, nabilib ako. Because when Gillian Anderson, nabilib, para English, nabilib ako. Kasi when Gillian Anderson entered, like she was so in character, and like what Diana said, she did not lose it until the end of it, until the applause of the audience, and it was like, um, it was like, gosh, how would you be acting on that? It's full of emotion, like the mental health is there, um, roller coaster of emotions, and when definitely when Blanche Dubois is has actually a deeper character in herself. That's why she's able to do those things like having relationships and going to her sister's place. And I think that again, the only refuge that she has was her sister, and then she has to, I think, come up with all those energy that she has just to come up. I mean, just to come to her sister. And then coming from basically an aristocrat side of her, then she's going down to her sister, and she basically lost everything. And like what you said, I like the take of the mental health here because every day it's happening, and it's um um ang ganda niya lang pag-usapan talaga. I know that Tennessee Williams uh, wrote it as such, pero ang daming pa niyang natin pwedeng pag-aralan. Like, what would happen to Stella after her sister, after she's given birth, and two, after her sister went away. Parang, oh, nasa na yun. Parang, I'm sure magiging possibly mentally unstable din siya. Especially that the one that she has is actually the one that possibly caused the problem. So something like that. That's my take on it. That's my take on the whole script.
To add to Diana and Jack, usually like the one of yung character ni Blanche, it was hard for Gillian Anderson her approach because from the start she was already like on the brink
Yeah.
of losing her mind.
Yeah.
And
She was already on that
what
edge.
actually that's what really impressed me, like how daring it was. From scene one, you knew about her condition, and then when you're watching it, you're looking for, since if she already declared that she was going insane, she needs to keep up this level of insanity, or probably like that subtle level of insanity all the way until the end. So it has to actually be at a higher level when she loses her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but Jenny has a small comment. So
I just have a small critique on the acting, which, can I just say that I actually really love Vanessa Kirby's work, especially in The Crown. But for me, in terms of this ensemble with A Streetcar Named Desire, I found her a little bit lacking.
yeah.
One, because her southern accent was just not
Southern.
southern at all for me. It was just not hitting the mark,
Yeah.
and it really showed how much she was struggling with the accent itself, which is very, very basic, and to the point that, because I saw the film version, and the actress who played Stella was very stunning. Like she even though it was a supporting role, the original actress was just as powerful. And so I was expecting the same level of powerfulness with this production, but I didn't seem to find that in Vanessa Kirby. Unfortunately, I felt that Ben Foster and Gillian Anderson were pretty much devouring her.
Yeah.
And I also saw that she didn't really bring anything original to the role of Stella. My main critique, I think, was the Stanley and Stella scene.
Yeah, but
that's a directing
yeah.
thing, I
We'll
think.
talk about that a little later.
Yeah. So that's my main critique of Vanessa Kirby in particular.
Yeah. And especially like the character of Stella, she's deceivingly powerful.
Yeah.
She's not like because when I was watching it, like I felt that she was like playing
The victim.
Yeah, the victim, or like the abused wife.
Yeah.
But my interpretation of Stella is that she is a disturbed wife, but a lot of moments in
Her
yeah.
her power in the original production or in the original film is actually more subversive.
Yeah.
Like it's not blatant like Stanley, but it's really more subversive. But when I saw Vanessa Kirby's interpretation, it felt more submissive through and through, which was a little. I think that was a missed opportunity for me in
Yeah.
terms of her Stella. Yeah,
That's it.
that's just my critique. But I love Gillian Anderson and Ben Foster.
Yeah, sorry. I'd also like to comment yung who played Mitch, because usually it's he's not really mentioned, but he was actually very good. I forgot his name, but he was actually very good as well. So
Yeah.
usually the supporting is not mentioned in review. So I just want to say, if you're listening, I also like your performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think they had a moment there, and it's very important. Yung moment nila, because it's actually the revealing of who Blanche is when they have that kind of talk.
But Mitch is Corey Johnson. I put it here
Tito mo
because you need
siya.
to recognize. Yeah.
He's your uncle now.
Uncle. Yeah, Uncle Corey Johnson. And Ben Foster is really good. That's why I'd like to show you a video of favorite. For me, it's my favorite scene of Ben Foster. I'll show it first, and then I'll tell you why.
He acts like an animal. He has an animal's habits. He eats like one, he moves like one, he talks like one. Why, there is even something subhuman about him. Something not quite to the stage of humanity yet. Yes, something ape-like about him. Like one of those pictures I seen in anthropological studies. Thousands and thousands of years have passed him right by. And there he is, Stanley Kowalski, survivor of the Stone Age, bearing the raw meat home from the kill in the jungle. And you there waiting for him. Maybe he'll strike you, or maybe he'll grunt and kiss you. That is, if kisses have been discovered yet. Night falls, and the other apes gather there in front of the cave, all grunting like him and swelling and hulking and gnawing. His poker night, you call it, this party of apes. Some creature growls, another creature snatches at something. The fight is on. God, maybe we are a long way from being made in God's image, but Stella, my sister, there has been some progress since then. Such things as art, as poetry and music, such kinds of new light have come into the world since then. In some kinds of people, some tenderer feelings have had some little beginning that we have got to make grow and cling to and hold as our flag in this dark march towards whatever it is we're approaching. Don't hang back with the brutes.
Hey! Hey, Stella!
Stella!
Stanley! Hi, Stella. Blanche back?
Yes! Oh, she's back.
Hiya, Blanche.
Nata nyo? Yun. That's the. So let me just tell you why yung part na yun is my favorite part of Ben Foster without him even talking all the while. As you've seen, the scene was about Blanche being, can I talk freely? Parang ganito kakasabi niya ron, di ba? And then he talks a lot about how pig, Paula, everything bad about Stanley, and then not knowing that Stanley is just there. And I even had a comment when he played with the audience, look at the audience, and then play with, and then the audience laughed. I don't think that is necessary, but I will give it to the actor kasi pag actor ka, you had this opportunity to play with the audience, hindi mo mapigilan yun as an actor and instinct yun and that plus the audience, na tumawa yung audience is really funny if you're going to watch it live. But I like the treatment of how Ben Foster attacked it because yung dirty coming from a work And then I can only imagine how difficult he's been through within that day. And then hearing those things coming from Blanche, it's so hard to imagine yung emotions niya if you're really that person. Then what did he do? He just went out, then go back in as if nothing happened. As if you're the audience, even I am watching it, I'm really looking forward if what will he going to do. Ano yung gagawin niya with Blanche at that time? Because you know how domineering he is, how alpha male he is in this house. This is my house. I should be the king on this house. But then again, there's Blanche telling you those things about you after you've done a really hard work within the day. And the reaction was, for me, is really wow. Yun.
Yeah,
I really
siya
like
naging
this.
fan.
Yes, because of that, no, not only that, I believe Law has his own video, which, yeah, I agree that's also good. Law, shall I play it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there we go.
Sweetheart? Stella! Stella!
Quit howling out there and go back to bed.
I want my baby down here. Stella? Stella?
She ain't coming down, so you just quit or you get the law on ya.
Stella!
Can't just beat a woman and then call her back. She won't come. And then her gonna have a baby out, you stinker! You whelp of a Paula! You! I hope they do haul you in and turn the fire hose on you, same as last time.
Eunice, I just want my baby girl down here with you.
Oh!
Yeah, we actually the thing about the scene is that we felt it was a little short. Parang it wasn't as powerful as the film version. And I think si Jen like has a lot of things to say about this scene. So yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Well, of course, we shouldn't compare how these actors did it with the film version. No? Pero, kasi yung that scene where Stanley, this is the scene after Stanley beats up Stella, right? And then he was regretful about it, and so he, after he was being, helped out by his friends by washing him down with cold shower because he was drunk. He cries out for Stella at the bottom of the staircase, right? And then Stella comes down, and then they have sex. Parang make-up sex sila. And for me, the way that this production did it, it was actually, it kind of missed the mark of the whole meaning of that scene.
Yeah.
Because originally, the way that scene played out, Stella came down not as a victim going after her abusive husband, but as someone who recognizes that, oh, you're the one now groveling after me, so I have the power, I have the upper hand now. So if the viewers out there, if you got to watch the film adaptation, you would notice that the actress who played Stella, she came down with a lot of like I guess yabang, and a lot of like I have the power over you now, Stanley. You may have beaten me up, but I have the power over you. And she used her sex to control Stanley. Whereas in this version, the Ben Foster and Vanessa Kirby version, Vanessa Kirby, first of all, she went down very, very quickly. And then she went down sobbing, you know. So one, I was disappointed that they rushed that scene. And then two, when she went down sobbing, she kind of the direction kind of missed the mark of that gender power play between Stanley and Stella. So she came in down as a victim, forgiving her abusive husband, rather than the powerful woman controlling her husband with the power of her sex. No? So I was a little taken aback by that one, because it's one of the very iconic scenes of Streetcar Named Desire, and that's what made Marlon Brando very famous. Yung Stella, ganon. And I just felt that it was a very missed opportunity with that one. And it's kind of ironic that the 1950s version was very innovative. Pero in this version, parang they just resorted to the cliche of a victim wife, abused wife going back to her abusive husband.
I guess there are two things that maybe that's why this production chose that approach. I think the first one is that they were scared to touch the film version. If they did the film version, carbon copied it, they'd probably get a lot of backlash from people that like the play or the film version. And I think secondly, I think in terms of probably Vanessa Kirby and their take on Stella, maybe the decision of the director to actually make her play a battered wife, to kind of like emphasize on domestic abuse that's happening, back then and now. So that's why they didn't like go for the more sensual approach compared to the film. Is that they wanted to have that message across that domestic violence is happening.
But see, that's where it's a problem for me. Because like the theater is an opportunity for artists to present a different perspective of the world, right? Or a different ideal of the world.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just copying reality to the T, na okay, this is domestic violence that's happening now, diba? Then what other perspective are you offering to your audience? And that's why the scene of Marlon Brando and the original actress, sorry, I don't know her name.
Yeah.
Pero in the film
original
version, is still effective for me because it presented a different dynamic of a toxic relationship. And it gave a different complexity to it. Whereas yung Ben Foster and Vanessa Kirby version, parang ganyan Ganyan yung domestic violence Ganyan yung toxic relationship. But for me, yung Marlon Brando version is actually more toxic Kasi nagpapasa-pasa sila ng power play So I don't want to compare, but the thing is that there's a reason why that scene is very crucial in A Streetcar Named Desire. And there's a reason why that scene has always been iconic in theatrical productions. And I just feel like it was a missed opportunity for them to really dive in 100% into the real intention of that scene.
Yeah. But again, it could be a directorial.
It could be a directorial issue, or it could be a coverage issue. Diba? Baka mabagal nga si Vanessa Kirby when she went down.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We don't know.
So
That's it.
Tim Hunter was the original Stella in the 1961 film. So Tim Hunter and Marlon Brando. Yes.
I'm actually not talking because I remember a play wherein Jenny mentioned about the responsibility of theater, not just showing what is reality, but Jenny's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about and was talking about. That's beyond this review as a different play that we're not reviewing right now. Okay, and any other thoughts about the actors? Yeah, go ahead, Diana.
You know, now that you mention it, I did feel na medyo si Gillian Anderson kasi yung main energy. And her dynamic with Stanley is the main dynamic. And now that you mention it, medyo si Stella nga, yung character ni Stella is muted. Parang she's not even a main character in this one. I didn't see the movie version so I don't really have to compare. I don't know what to compare. But now that you mention it, parang oo nga, no? Parang napansin ko nga na her character is very muted. But I recognize her name. I recognize that scene. Yung sinasabi ng Stella, and naisip ko na, ito pala yun. Diba? But, and yet, diba, her character is not quite, she's very passive. She's a very passive character. But to me, kasi I saw it in a kind of a feminist lens, the whole play. I saw it in a what is feminism, diba? How are they describing feminism? And although, I mean, na-sense ko nga na, yun nga a lot of women are like that. A lot of women are passive. Parang they're passive to their lives. And it's not just, I mean, si Blanche din diba? She was also very passive. In a way, she wala siyang magawa. Even if she was the aggressive one, even if she was the powerful one. In the end, they're all victims of patriarchy. Even the men who only can be tough, only can be, the only way that you can get value is to get sex, diba? And it's all under this blanket of toxic masculinity and patriarchy that nobody is enjoying, not even the men anymore, So yun, parang, that's just my, my thoughts on it, na parang, parang, there's something kind of weird about it, but at the same time, tinanggap ko naman siya. Yun. Yun.
Okay. Thank you, Diana, for your thoughts. Anything else about the actors? Because we want to move on to maybe set design. Because Diana mentioned it, set design, right? You want to start, Diana?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, sorry. So I noticed the set design instantly because it's one set lang siya na umiikot. So it's the apartment in New Orleans where all the characters go in and out, and there's the outside area na parang yung stairway, which is common in apartments and fire exit where a lot of people hang out. It kind of, to be honest, I don't know, but it reminded me of Breakfast at Tiffany's. The apartment and even the lead character, si Blanche, na naisip ko it's a character that has a past that she's kind of like hiding, and then she's taking on a new persona in this new life, diba? And then it's set in that apartment where anything can happen. The wonderful, the violent, sex, drinking, and drama. So it's all in this set, this kind of umiikot na set, na room where the walls are gone. So we can see right through the bathroom and right through the bedroom. And we are medyo voyeuristic siya, where you can kind of see inside somebody's life. And maganda, para sa akin, it was a beautiful set. Like something maybe to copy. Kagayahin natin yan. So, yun.
I like the set kasi I'm a fan of minimalist. And itong set, napaka-minimal niya. Very Langgam production. Yes. And I also like yung sinabi ni Diana na it's revolving. Kasi this, I believe ito rin yung ginagamit lagi nila, siyempre National Theater. Meron pang chance yan lumulubog yung stage na yan And then going up, nawawala yan. Pwede nilang gawin yan, but they didn't do that on this particular play. So, very particular sa idea na yon na clear lang, walang walls, everything is bare naked sa performance ng actors, every angle. Siguro din, pasok ko na rin yung difficulty of acting on this kind of treatment. No? Kasi every angle you need to act. And every angle you can be judged what you're acting. Pagkamot mo, kumbaga, it should be that when you go on that stage, ikaw na yung character. Everything, wala kang lusot. Pati yung pagtanggal nung banderitas, merong scene doon. Ben Foster's trying to remove it, but he can't remove it, binabayaan na lang niya. So alam ko, he's trying to remove it kasi dapat yun But he can't remove it, so hinayaan na lang niya. But actor pa rin syempre. Ayun, yun lang yun ako sa set. Ikaw?
Ako, of course, I like it because it's moving. And kasi when you're in, di ba, ipapakita mo kasi sa, when you're in a room, in a four-corner walls, di ba, parang your secret is actually happening there. However, you're letting the audience see what are you doing. So something like that. Parang very vulnerable and at the same time intimate with the scenes ngayon. And at the same time, sinishare mo sa audience. So parang ako, it's actually a very wise way to let the actors really express themselves even if they're sitting in their bathroom and what they're doing. Para makikita nila na they're still in character. Something like that. And I think na breaking down or moving those walls theater-wise is kinda parang you're letting the audience go in with you and seeing it more, especially with their acting. For me, and also, parang I just want to comment that when you see a theater in general, it is really a community. Like, for me, nakita ko doon, what I saw there is engineering. So how can a person create like that na sinasabi ng tao, if you're a theater actor or if you're from theater, you would see lang as an artist ka lang. So yun lang yung buhay mo. But then again, it's not because there's artists. Of course, there's artists, there's engineers, there's designers, and there's math involved, and there's physics involved. So theater community is halo-halo na siya. Hindi lang talaga siya yung pang arts and artistic stuff lang. So that's what I saw when I noticed the set. It's really a community of creation.
Thank you, Jack. Jenny, Blo, you have anything to say about production design?
Yeah. So of course, as you would know, I'm very much in love with the set. And I really appreciated the dramaturgy that went on with the set as well. Because when you look at it and analyze it, it's actually a set design that was in response to Blanche's character. So if you notice, like the set was predominantly painted white. So of course, Blanche's name means white in French, diba? And apart from that, parang it was a perfect set to play around with light and shadows. So if you notice in the story, in character ni Blanche, she shies away from the light. So she's very much annoyed when there's light being opened. She wants to be standing in the shadows. She uses the Chinese lamp to diffuse the light. So she avoids it to reveal how much she has aged, diba? So that set, I think, was very much designed towards parang designed as an antagonist towards her character. And of course, the removal of the walls, being exposed, that's basically when you look into the symbolism of it, yun na yung unraveling ni Blanche. The moment that she steps into that apartment, that's already the final chapter of her sanity. So unti-unti na nag-expose yung kanyang vulnerability, and there's no escape already for her. So yun na yung nagiging Achilles heel niya. So yun, doon ko na-appreciate na how they were able to conceptualize that set in response to the degrading or detrimenting character of Blanche na towards the end. No? And of course, the spinning down to insanity as well. Yeah. So doon ako na-amazed by it.
Yeah. Usually, as a production designer, this is the hardest type of set design you can do if it's only one location and everything happens in one area, the whole play. And I understand why they created the set like this. This is kind of like a genius way of having a scene outside, even though the location is only one. Mm-hmm. And then my only concern with the set design, the spinning, is that Joel got to answer my first question about it in terms of like how actors would act in this type of set. But we don't know because we weren't there in the revolving stage. Is that, of course, it was visually amazing. But I think the first concern that I had, Joel got to answer it, that it actually brought out more performances from the actors. But I think the second concern I have, and probably everyone can chime in, is that I don't know if this was like a positive or negative experience for the audience members, because you deal with a lot of sightline issues when you put like probably a pole or like a table in front of the audience, and I don't know with the coverage because we didn't watch it live. But I just would like to ask everyone around did you guys think that it was positive or negative, this revolving stage for the audience?
Yeah, go Diana.
I did notice in the audience, there were certain people that were craning their necks pag nagre-revolve yung stage. Parang gumaganon sila kasi hindi nila nakikita yung actors. And then there were some scenes na pumapasok yung characters, from off stage to on stage, and it's kind of a far area, and then some of the audience members from this side hindi nila nakikita. So I think they did have some problems in live, but maybe that's why it was recorded, so that if you want to enjoy it on a more clear way, you can just watch it on the video capture, parang ganun. So, I don't know parang na-notice ko yan with plays and yung dynamic ng recording a play is that the camera can see things that you will not be able to see. So, I don't know, for me, it's good because I like watching recorded, I like watching video. But as a theater participant, siguro medyo it could be annoying a little bit, lalo na if I paid. So, but I really don't know, like as a performer naman, iniisip ko na, ito na yung nagawa namin eh. So, I don't know.
Ako iba yung take ko sa kanya. I think like it's really intentional by the director na mahirapan ang audience, kung mahirapan. Kasi yung binanggit mo kanina sa Diana yung voyeurism na parang sumisilip sila. I felt na it was part intentional ng director na hindi talaga makita lahat ng angle. And posibleng sumilip lang sila sa angle na to. And every audience has that equal opportunity naman na you will have a better angle on this performance, on this one, you have a better angle on this scene, on this one, a different scene. So totally everyone has equal opportunity to watch it differently. And based on the feedback ng audience, how they stand up ovation and ng play. I think they appreciate it, and I think they also understand why it has to be like that. And the fact na yung pag-ikot niya is really very, very slow. I think this also, kaya ganun siya ginawa para naman hindi affect masyado yung panonood ng mga audience.
I think, of course, it was also equally distributed yung pag-ikot nila. And I saw some audience member standing up. Like they're really standing to see what's going on. And they're anticipating. And of course, if kapag ikaw sumisi na, for example, sa bathroom, which is nasa dulong part, and then iikot. So, ikaw, sasama ka din sa pag-ikot. So, which is, I think, ano na yun parang nandun na, as an audience member, it's your responsibility to take in and grasp in what is the place giving you, something like that. And also, ano ba sa people, forgot.
Yeah, Diana, you're about to say something.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. Mukhang okay naman. Maybe they only crane their necks at certain parts, and most of the play naman napanood nila. Alam mo yun. Maybe parang hindi naman siya ganun ka blocking. Oo, parang minsan lang. Parang ganun.
Tsaka yung sinasabi na your baka mahilo yung actor as a moving set. You know, guys, ginawa natin yun somewhere else in Establish. I was there.
Yeah.
Siya. Especially sa
So, mabagal lang.
Nakakatilo siya sa ikot ng mabilis and small space lang. So, yes, nakakahilo siya. Pero, yun naman sa malaking space na iniikot siya and very slowly. So, I think, given na yun, parang, iikot ako.
And they also rehearse.
They
so
rehearse.
Wants to rehearse that, so then we can get used to it.
Yeah,
So,
they're professionals.
I really love it.
naman,
I really
and
love
I'm
it.
sure
And this was
they can
shown when? 2016 pa ito, ba? A few years back. It's not just...
It's important yet.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Wait, and I just have to say, Gillian Anderson was from... This is the girl from X-Files.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was mind-blowing for me kasi after ng X-Files, yung tita ko, yung super fan ng X-Files. So after that show ended, then what happened to her? Like, ano yung mga shoes niya? I remember that she was on a show with the actor of Mr. Bean. But it's also funny then, and they saw her here, which is, wow. Parang, kumbaga hindi siya nawala sa exam na pinagpatuloy niya.
Yeah. Can I just add dun kay Gillian Anderson na sa sobrang galing niya sa accents, I don't know what she really sounds like.
Yeah.
Kasi she's born in Chicago, but she also lived in between the States and the UK.
Yeah.
So very quick for her to switch accent between American and British, no? So sa sobrang galing niya, I have no idea what she sounds like in person. Kasi may mga interviews na she uses American accent, and there are other interviews that she uses British accent, no? Yun lang, I love her. At ang ganda ng pagkatanda niya. Parang she just parang mas gumaganda siya as she aged.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think after what you guys said about the set, I kind of understand why they were rotating it. The voyeurism, that idea of like not really seeing everything but hearing it, and yeah, it's brilliant. I think I guess now you guys answered like my main concern about the set. Yeah.
And I'm sure naman the director knows what he's presenting to the audience, and if I would think na he actually wants the audience to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Hey, that's what Jenny does all the time. So.
Hey, that's right. Yeah, true.
Talking about Jenny, let's talk about the director.
Yan.
Direction of the entire play. Will you start, Jenny?
I think I ano naman. Yeah, I think it was really well crafted, really well thought out, from the acting to the design of the scenography, its consideration with the audience. I thought that it was really well thought out. Yun lang yung tiny critique ko was the Stanley and Stella scene. I'd like to ask the director what was their discussion behind that scene, especially given such a very iconic scene. Kung ano yung mga pinag-usapan nila to arrive with that kind of execution. Yun lang yung not so much a critique, but yun lang yung question ko about that one. But other than that, I thought that it was really well, parang wala siyang parang wala siyang randomness in the production. Everything was meant to be.
Yeah, and usually there's a Austrian filmmaker that he quoted that the best direction is when you're invisible, when you don't actually make the audience feel that you're directing. And I think this guy, kasi he's very well known already in Australia and around the world. He's done Shakespeare, he's done Chekhov, he's actually done Sarah Kane as well. So he really knows material, and he kind of like has that idea that he could actually not over direct, and just let the actors and the script and the production design, everything stand out. And I think that's exceptional directing.
And by the way, the director is Benedict Andrews, and the production designer of the play is Magda Willing. So we'd like to recognize them.
Yay.